Bob from the North Woods of Maine. Ooh, where that maple syrup comes from. I do like maple syrup. I am an intrepid music lover. Well, welcome to the club. Me too. And I'm a DIY, a do-it-yourself advocate for maximizing the system's abilities on a retiree's budget. Okay? My room is treated, my speakers positioned with much listening using techniques that you, Paul, provide in your books. Why, thank you, sir. The Audiophile's Guide. That's the books he's referring to. And as I've said earlier, I am working on expanding that to 10 volumes, which is kind of exciting for me. At this point, I got 5 done, which is kind of cool. I'm working on number 6. But anyway, so look for that and we'll talk about it. As a next step in reaching for additional performance, aren't we always looking for additional performance? I love it. I'm considering building an outboard line level signal splitter for my active subs and stand mounted speakers. I plan on simply inserting a very high quality 0.022 microfarad capacitor ahead of the 100K ohm impedance power amps, and I'll bet you'll have some advice for me. Aha. Well, what does he mean? What do you mean I'm going to have advice? Sure, I got advice. I'm full of advice. And other people say I'm just full of it. That's okay. He is building a high-pass filter, meaning that he's going to roll off the bottom end of his stand mount speakers using a single capacitor into a resistor, forming a simple 6 dB per octave high-pass filter. Okay. It's not something I recommend. It just goes against the grain. So let me explain what's going on. Anytime that we take a capacitor and a resistor, so in this case the signal is going through the capacitor to the input to his power amplifier that is going to his stand mount speaker, and that stand mount speaker or its amplifier has an input impedance of 100K, right? So if we just picture, let me put this down. Okay, if we picture, everybody says, get a whiteboard. Bite me. All right, if we picture a capacitor, the signal goes in here through the capacitor, and now we have a resistor to ground. What happens is at a certain frequency, like low frequencies in this case, those signals won't get through the capacitor because of the size of the capacitor, right? So we get this roll-off where lowest frequencies won't get in at all, higher frequencies will get in. You only have to suffer through the sound of the cap, which if you use a high-quality cap, should be just fine. I did that on the IRS-5 systems because that's the way they had set it up. I always hated doing that. I went back and forth between removing that high-pass filter, putting it back in. Depending on the music I was playing, if it had the wrong frequencies, the mid-range E-mims would rattle because the system was designed to have that high-pass filter. It required it. And that's just poor design. Bottom line. If Arnie had designed the IRS-5 properly, and remember, I can't really criticize because that was the finest loudspeaker in the world, and it was a amazing achievement. I mean, he left that one little part out and just thought, all right, at the end of the day, we've got to limit what goes in, so I'm going to put another low-pass filter on the input. Had he done that in the crossover properly, you wouldn't have had to do that, and we could have skipped that low-pass filter because it always impacted negatively the sound quality of that system. So it was always a tough trade-off. Now, your stand mount speakers, they should have been designed to run full range. If you take a pair of our Aspen FR5 loudspeakers, which are in my opinion, so far the best stand mount loudspeaker I have ever heard, maybe the best in the world. I don't know, because I haven't tried every one of them, but of all the hundreds that I have tried, it just blows them away. But whatever it is you have, it should play full range, and it was designed to play full range. And if you add that capacitor and that high-pass filter, just because you've bought into the idea that taking the load off of that speaker makes it sound better, I would argue that if it's true, you should change your speaker, and it's probably not true because you probably chose a good speaker. So my advice, don't do it. Run your speaker full range. And again, if that is problematic, you need a new pair of speakers. Okay? Thanks. Bye.